Yes, everyone, welcome back. This is time for a tactical preview. United against Brentford. Like Brighton, on paper, stack the two teams up next to each other. Manchester United should, even with what is a pretty bare-bones squad, should have enough quality in the squad to be able to turn them over. However, they get more out of their sum than they should do. Very well run, difficult team. Could be in for a tough one this year. But United are going to be in for a tough game, make no mistake. They're coming off a 2-2 draw away at Leicester, which I think they'll be a little bit disappointed. They did fight back from a 2-0 deficit in that game. They didn't start well at all. Damsgaard has joined from Sampdoria. He should be available to make his debut tomorrow. They have conceded at least 2 goals in their last 3 matches in the Premier League. But they compete. If we look at their... let's look at the first 27 games last season. Brentford played a 3-5-2 formation. However, in the final 11 games, they switched that to go 4-5-1, increasing the number of outlets that started further up the pitch when they had control of the ball. During those 11 games, though, Brentford only managed over 50% possession in one instance. That shows that their style of football is very much about being counter-attacking, direct, and fast-paced rather than being all about possession. As we saw last year, that's where they hurt us. Offensively, in the build-up, they like to play balls out from the back to attract opposition pressure. That creates space in behind. And then other than on-set pieces, they tend to put the ball into the channel for one of the 2 wide players to run onto the ball, and that's why they end up with such a low possession. They're occasionally patient when they have control possession that's in their half, and they aim to keep the ball for long enough for opposition players to jump out of position. I like that. It's a smart way of playing with the ball. They look to bypass the midfield then and still go over the top to somebody like Ivan Toney. That's literally how they play. Tony's probably elite, and people will look down on Ivan Toney because he's come up through the Championship and he plays for Brentford. But he's someone that excels in a couple of very key areas of his game. One of those is his ability to win aerial duels. The other is his ability to hold the ball up and link play with his back to goal. When the ball's played into him, 2 of the 8s are going to come close to him to try and pick up the second balls, anticipating this is a duel, and obviously the duel can go either way. If one of those wins the ball, Tony doesn't stand there watching, admiring what's just happened. He gets on his toes. Because as those 2 close in to retrieve the ball back, that is another counter-attacking opportunity for them. Someone's likely been drawn out of position. Tony's going to go up against the centre-half. Centre-half might win the ball, but if the second ball is lost, then he's out of position and Ivan Toney can pounce on it. That's a move that you see all day long, and that is a move I would anticipate Harry Maguire getting absolutely roasted with. Harry doesn't see enough of the game around him. He doesn't scan enough. And I've been going on about this for ages, and some people even try and besmirch the good name of scanning just to try and give us a little bit of shit. I saw someone comment last video, so that apparently I've read this in a book, and now I'm going on about it. Scanning is an integral part of football. Roy Keane was one of the best scanners ever. Never got caught in possession. Because he would look around and position himself in a good area. Harry Maguire is fixated on the ball, nothing else. I can't believe some people still thought he had a good game last week against Brighton. If you watch Harry Maguire for both of the goals, you cannot tell me that he was absolved of any blame in those goals. What he did in those goals, not the sole person to blame. Don't put words in my mouth. But as our captain, as our leader, as our marshaller of our defence, not the guy making his debut. He was the one that wasn't scanning. He was the one that allowed players to run blindside on him that he didn't even have a clue was there. If he's more alert to these things, he gets them picked up. He is who Ivan Toney's going to go up against. If he goes up against Martinez, Martinez doesn't jump with you. Martinez is going to push off you, and he's going to try and win the ball. Martinez is excellent at winning that ball and then collecting that ball and playing it off. Brentford aren't going to try him. If they play up against anybody, it's going to be up against Maguire. They go up against Maguire. Maguire can get dragged out of position. Maguire is going to be a threat. He's going to think he's going to win the ball over Toney, but then he won't win the second ball. Or he'll try and win the second ball. United's midfield won't have retreated enough, and they will win the second ball. They'll win the second ball and they'll play it in behind Tony, who's then peeled off Harry Maguire, and he'll be in behind. And that's how United would concede. So I wouldn't play him because he's an absolute target for this sort of thing. Defensively, while sometimes they sit in a bit of a mid-block, they try to be aggressive and press their opponents high up the pitch, trying to win the ball back in key areas. So United have really got to watch that if we're playing out. De Gea on kickouts is going to be targeted for sure. It was awful against Brighton in that aspect of his game. United lost so much possession in the last game because of that. You're going to have to play out well against Brentford because they will punish you if you balls this up. They also press when there is a backward pass, which United have been guilty of in the past. That allows defenders to get up the pitch. They leave the forwards offside so they can press without worrying about a ball being played over the top. Opponents really have to try to keep the ball under heavy pressure or clear it up the pitch where they're used to playing against direct play. They'll bring it down and they'll move it back up the pitch themselves. This can help them achieve a lot of success through pressing in situations where one or two, maybe even three players are eliminated already because of their positioning. On these occasions, Brentford goes for a man-to-man approach in a wide area of an opponent's third. They shut off all the passing options apart from the opposite fullback, something that we do, and it's something I use because you're often seeing switches from fullback to fullback, so you always leave the opposition fullback in space. If that pass does get played, they have enough time to drop into a mid-block and then start squeezing over onto that side. Predicted 11 then, I reckon it's probably going to be Raya, Hickey, Janssen, me, Henry, Janelle, Noseguard, Da Silva, Mbueno, Wissa, and Tony. Starman, you already know, it's Ivan Toney. Brentford's top scorer last season, scored the last game against Leicester City. Undoubtedly their most dangerous player. He is great in the air, a real danger as a target man. When they put crosses into the box, he's on them. Him versus Martinez would be something to keep an eye on. Him versus Maguire, with the way they react to the second balls, would be absolutely deadly. And he's actually a full package. He's got great feet. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a move to a big club soon. He's that good. Capable of the spectacular as well as the mundane. So you've really got to keep an eye on him. My United 11 to face up against these, it'll be De Gea in net. Interestingly, United are in for a number 2, but it'll be De Gea in net. And I want to go with Dalot, Varane, Martinez, and Malacia as a back 4. I don't know if I want this or I'm expecting this, so I'll just leave it out there as I think it could be this. Eriksen and Donny. When you've got a team that's going to press you the way Brentford are going to press you, you want to hold the ball. Now, I think Donny's had a lot of unfair and fair criticism over the last couple of years at United, but one thing that's not in doubt is his ability to take the ball under pressure and play two-touch. He can do that. And I think him and Eriksen in the sort of deep line playmaker role will hold the ball really well. And you don't really need to stack the midfield with your Fred and McTominay style players because they're not going to play in midfield. So this midfield isn't going to go up against anybody. To win and lose this game, Manchester United have to be +1 in defence because the ball's going to be coming over the top, which means 2 players, one opposition and one of yours, is going to go head-to-head for the ball, and you need that extra man in case that guy loses out. And that's how you defend against long balls. You drop, you are quick, you communicate, and you are +1. You do those things, you will be fine. Because they're not going to play football through the middle of you, which means that you don't need the footballers in the centre of the park, a la Fred, a la McTominay, to break up that play. They're going to bypass the midfield. So turn a perceived weakness into a strength. And when you get on the ball, because they're going to give you the ball anyway, they don't play with the ball. If we're going to be on the ball for 60% of the game, let's have the people who can actually move the ball forward and look after it in possession. Eriksen, Donny, in our midfield, for me, the 2 best people capable at doing that, unless you want to throw someone like Zidane in, which is not out of the realms of possibility, but it's probably going to be more Donny. For now, I would think. You expect to see some of the youngsters getting 5 and 10 minutes here and there. So look after the ball. Eriksen, Donny, Bruno, Sancho, Rashford, and Ronaldo up front. Just highlighting how absolutely paper thin this squad is. There's one option in the team, isn't there, really? Centre half. Is it Maguire coming in over Varane? Outside of that, you could argue left back, but there is so little options in this squad. He's going to have to turn to the youngsters to be able to get a tune out of this team on a regular basis. But that's my 11. In terms of the match winners for Manchester United, Eriksen. Creativity and vision could be absolutely key in the final third, but also as we play through the thirds. They're going to press us as we play out. Let's have someone who can look after it, getting back there. That's where Eriksen comes in. Ball retention is going to be vital. This is where Eriksen comes in. He is so calm under pressure. That will emanate through the rest of the team. You need his composure. Let's give him the keys, make him the conductor. You're going to have to be ready physically if you want to beat them. They are capable of bullying you. I'm excited to see how Martinez copes with Tony. If Varane is ready, he's in for a tough ask as well. They are a team full of willing, aggressive runners. Nothing is going to come easy. First and foremost, you're not beating them unless you even get close to their intensity. Brentford are vulnerable from the wide areas. That's often because teams play this, it's often the case with the teams that play this system, I guess. When they squeeze and they initiate the press, they push their line up high. That means that they have to play brave. When they play in brave, the wide areas are where the space is, laterally, but also vertically. They leave space in behind. They do get caught out when they do that. Movement in behind will be key. And they will be strong in both boxes, which means we need to be strong in both boxes. United can do this, right? But it is a potential banana skin because they are a team that is going to just bring intensity. And if you don't bring intensity, you get run over. It's as simple as that. But I do think United are going to get the job done. Don't ask me why. I just think we're going to get the job done. And I think if they look to go and actually dominate possession, that will be how you get the job done. Let me know your thoughts, your score predictions, and if you'd go with the same sort of midfield and my logic for that midfield in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.